Welcome to the Cherry Picker, the horror movie podcast where we like to kill people, but not really. I'm your host, Zack Sherry, and with me, as always, is...
Voodoo. Eddie of Edward's Truth.
Did you just prepare a sound effect for that?
Yeah.
Very nice, very nice.
It's the most important thing about the pod for me tonight, and it just happened, so I'm happy.
There you go, again, showing your hand way too soon.
Well, what do you want?
We are talking about I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, which I think is like a funny title for the movie because like technically wouldn't it be I Still Know What You Did 2 summers ago or the summer before last, or...
You know, I didn't even think about it until you just said it. You and your logistics, Zack Cherry. Let me see.
Yeah.
But but then it doesn't sound like it's part of a, franchise. I Still Know What You Did 2 summers ago.
Okay, well, with that question, I also ask you, what would you call this franchise? You know, like the Scream franchise or the Friday the 13th franchise. Would you call this the I Know What You Did franchise or the Last Summer franchise? Which one do you think has a better ring to it?
I actually prefer is it an anagram? The IKWYDLS franchise.
Yeah.
Because it rolls right off the tongue.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so easy to say.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious because I mean
all.
it goes against every rule of studios in Hollywood. It's just like keep your title short and simple. And they're just like, we're gonna fill up the marquee and then we're gonna like get another marquee to like have the rest of the title on it. And then we're going to add Still.
Kevin Williamson followed the rules with Scream or a Scary Movie, like either one of them. Like, so I Know What You Did Last Summer. It's just kind of, I'm going to spread my title all over your fucking marquee, Hollywood.
Yeah. Well, Kevin Williamson.
That's my Kevin Williamson impression.
Great impression. But yeah, Kevin Williamson did not return to write this script. And this movie was released November 13th, 1998. So, I mean, this is technically, like, I'm saying that this is the 25th anniversary, but like, why would we celebrate a summer movie, like a 4th of July movie in November? Like, that's just ridiculous. That's like releasing H2O in the summer. Like, what the fuck? You don't put Halloween movies in the summer. So we're covering this after a year because we did the first movie a year ago. And everyone was like, okay, now do the sequel. And we're like, no. We have a system here. We like to be very
You really
precise.
wanted to, though. I re-listened to it, and you were so anxious to like talking to me
to get right into
about this sequel. You're like, oh, I want to watch it right now. And I'm like, oh, okay, whatever.
And I don't think I did. I didn't. I haven't seen this movie in 3 years because I watched it for, I did a video of ranking the 90s teen horror. And this one for me, like I've been very vocal about how I feel about this movie. Because in that ranking, I had both of them like side by side together, and they were in the middle of the list. I think it was like 17 movies. So that, like I consider the IKWYDLS franchise to be very mid-tier. But well, I think that both of these movies are like equal in quality. They're both like vastly different in tone. And I've always preferred, well, I don't want to say always, but like as of more recently, I prefer this one just because it's so fucking ridiculous and off the wall, batshit, campy, fun that like this to me, this reminds me more of like 80s slashers. Whereas the first movie was like very like WB, like it was like melodramatic, it was taking itself too seriously. And I think that the reason why that is so popular, and more so like why I think that what works about the movie for me, as we spoke about on that podcast, was Sarah Michelle Gellar and Ryan Phillippe.
Sure.
So I would, if I had to like rank the two movies, I would say Sarah Michelle Gellar as a unit on her own is at the top. Then I Still Know, and then the rest of I Know What You Did Last Summer below that. So I'm gonna turn it over to you.
I'll do my premise first.
Sure.
Before I get into it. And it's not mine. I found a favorite.
Nobody cares.
I know, from IMDb, but I care. Film Fan UK wrote this, and I want to do it in a very special way. Okay, so 2 years after the horrible incident, Julie is back in college and is worse than ever, having dreams about the killer. She gets comfort from a new friend named Will. Julie's other friend, Carla, tries to hook the two of them up, and when she wins a trip to the Bahamas, she knows that it is perfect. But Ray is still in the picture, and Julie only goes as friends. Carla, her boyfriend Tyrell, Julie, and Will take flight right before Ray encounters the fisherman again. He tries to tell Julie not to leave, but it is too late. Now, in the Bahamas, Julie is starting to lighten up and have fun. Then suddenly things start going terribly wrong. When a storm hits the island and people start to disappear, Ray takes a boat to the island to warn Julie. But will he make it on time to save Julie again from the fisherman who scribed, "I still know what you did last summer?" Question mark? Nah?
I feel like I was right there with whoever told that story.
The movie happened to you all over again, didn't it?
Yeah. It's like something like a teenage daughter would like be telling at the dinner table to like the rest of the family that is so disinterested. Like, that's nice, whatever.
Well, okay, I'm going to break down my day for you, and I'm going to include every little bit of it. I love that even the overwritten parts, the fact that it is overwritten to the point where it starts to not make any sense. That's my favorite. That's my favorite on IMDb. Thank you, Film Fan UK. Now, as far as this film is concerned, even before we started recording, you accused me of showing my hand, as it were. So, and I don't even remember what I said.
Well, but, no, because I asked you like, oh, did you get a premise, and you're just like, yeah.
Oh, but I was also distracted. I was distracted by other things. That said, I did not enjoy this movie. I was perplexed. I didn't walk in with any great expectations either, because I think I only kind of remembered your favoritism toward this particular chapter when I was about halfway through, and I was just kind of like, oh, right. Zack likes this movie. Why? So I want to know why.
Okay,
but,
well, I mean, I think I already laid it out there. I said that this is a very mid-tier franchise. I don't love this movie. I think this is it's a terrible movie, and I was even feeling that as I watched it last night. But I like it better than the first one. I find it more entertaining. I think that after a relatively slow start, it kind of picks up momentum once they get to the island, and then it's sort of like, once they discover the bodies, it's just like nonstop, and it's just like the stupidest shit again. Whereas the first one, the opening scene, like that, it's so well done, and like it has like Kevin Williamson all over it, obviously. Like I think that the first act of that movie is great. The hitting of the car of the body, and the dumping it in the ocean and all that, and just sort of like the pact, and Ryan Phillippe, choking Jennifer Love Hewitt. He's like, swear.
Right.
And then after that, I mean, like I think that it's still there's still like a bit of a momentum going, when they return the next summer, and we're meeting up with everyone again. I think like where it slows down for me is like after Ray is attacked, and the rest of the movie is just like I cannot stand Ray and Julie. In the first movie, I enjoyed them more here, but I still I had a question at the end, and I'll ask you afterwards. But I mean, every time that they were on screen in the first one, it just brought the mood right down. It's just like, why are you like, first of all, this have this much bullshit to deal with, and why do you even care? That's because they're teenagers, but or they're in college now, whatever. Or Julie is, Ray's a fisherman, but
he's got a job.
I couldn't fathom if I would go back and watch it now, I'd probably fast forward through their scenes, because to me, like I said, Helen and Barry are the heart and soul of the movie. Like, that should have been the final couple. Because we've talked about this before. It's like, you know, your main characters don't necessarily need to be like pure and virtuous. They just have to be interesting. And yes. I mean, I wouldn't say that like Helen was a bad character. Like, you know, she was, her moral compass was, I would even argue, better than Julie's, because, you know, she actually displayed, you know, that she was trying to work through the issues with their friendship. But like Barry's obviously like, he's a cad, as they would say, or a card, I don't know. but I loved like him on the screen, like everything they did. Whereas like once they're dead, the climax just, it's a bore to me, everything that happens on the boat. So with this, okay. I feel that Julie kind of, and don't take this in a way to mean that like she's, you know, finds her inner Ripley or anything like that, because far from it. But she definitely, there's, comparing Julie from I Still Know to Julie in I Know, she's more up to the fight, I'll say.
Okay.
And, you know, I think that that's an improvement over, you know, what we see there. And that makes at least like the finale a lot more enjoyable in this movie. Say what you're going to say, because...
No, I'm fascinated, because, okay, this is the thing. Julie, I'm going to talk like my premise.
Okay.
But the thing is with Julie, okay, sitting through this movie, watching her, I mean, not even this movie, through the opening of this movie, like watching her, she started off like kind of like in a nightmare state, and then like, you know, woke up out of it and in class and everything like that, and seemed, again... Things are happening. Like there is hard living going on. It's kind of like written all over her face. Very much like, you know, post-trauma Julie of the first movie. And I remember we discussed kind of like her zigzagging in that movie. In this movie, the zigzagging happens like within the framework of a single scene, like or even a single kind of like day or sequence or what have you. Because as she's walking out of class and Will is chasing after her, she seems, you know, haunted and desperate and, you know, like you know, seeking like answers and help, and like, you know, there just needs survival, living in survival. Then all of a sudden, he like kind of checks in with her. I didn't write the whole thing, but my first note is just Julie, he, I am definitely okay. And she's got that Jennifer Love Hewitt smile that just kind of like washes away, you know, any kind of trace of trauma or anything like that. Like she cannot, and this is like to her, I guess, you know, in
her range.
In praise of her smile. In praise of her smile, it just lights up her face, and it looks like there are no troubles anymore. It looks like she is carefree, fancy-free, and like, you know, walking on sunshine. And so I'm just kind of like, oh, that was easy. And then and then she sees Ray, and immediately the face falls. And I'm just kind of like, wow, all right. And I felt that way the whole movie. Like she was like walking a line, but not even kind of like balance, like kind of like, you know, a little shift of weight to the right, a little shift to the left. No, it was like pow, pow, like a radio dial going back and forth for me. And it made me, they were so erratic, her mood shifts, that I felt like I was watching a batshit crazy person, which is not a term I would like to use to describe any person, but I was just like, what is your deal, Julie? Who the fuck are you, and what kind of life are you living? It was hard to follow. That's number one. And
I mean, like, everything you just described, like, that to me is why I love this so much, because it is so erratic. You know, and I think especially like I think my favorite moment of that you described is probably the karaoke scene. Because it's just like, oh, mopey Julie, and they're just like, let's do some karaoke. First of all, why Nancy, by the way, who is great. I love that character. But like, no fucking bartender. I used to bartend, and I, you know, worked a night that like had karaoke. So people would come to perform karaoke, and they always would, like, they knew that it was going on. But as I would never like suggest someone like as a bartender who has to like stand there and be subjected to that shit, I would never suggest like, hey, why don't you like try some karaoke or whatever she does. And anyway, that aside, it's so easy for them to persuade Julie to just kind of get into it, and she's just like, no, I'm not gonna do it. Okay. And then she's the bubbliness, and they're just like how like she's clearly there's like a line drawn where she's just like, Will is a friend, but she's like getting into it, and she's kind of like going up to him, and she's like being all sexual and just being like, I see you there, Will, and it's like, okay, yours too much. But at the same time, it's just like
she's a lot.
She is a lot, but it's that's what brings the camp to it. That's what I love, and I feel like there wasn't enough camp in it because you mentioned the scene, like the nightmare scene at the beginning, where she goes into the church, and interesting tidbit. There was, I guess, an alternate scene that was in the teaser trailer because there was one where she was in therapy. And
yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember the trailer.
The therapist is like, gets her to stand in front of the mirror. And they're like,
there is no man with a hook.
Yeah,
yeah.
And then he jumps out of the mirror.
Yeah, right.
And I think there was another trailer that had, I don't know if it was the same scene that's shown in the movie or an alternate version of that, but apparently that trailer is lost, or according to IMDb. But anyway, I think I prefer the church one because it's so dramatic, like more dramatic than the therapy session one. But as she was walking into the scene, because it starts off with her feet, and all I could think of was like, oh, because I don't remember what she was wearing, and I was just picturing like a Jennifer Tilly, like Chucky, like when she comes in, she's like dressed in black and has like a veil over her face, and I'm just like, oh, she better be fucking wearing that. And of course she wasn't. She was just like had a sweater on. But I'm like, oh, like. If this was really leaning into the camp, that's what she would be wearing. Like she would just be all decked out, looking like this to go make a confession. So
Italian widow.
Yeah, I feel like in my like own headcanon of just like how could I make I Still Know like even more ridiculous? Like that's one thing that I would do. But the scene of her, because it just transitions to her like, I mean, I don't know. When you wake up from a nightmare, because I'm just sort of like, my body usually just jolts. Like I've never like sprung up in bed. I just kind of like, there's like a jolt and maybe a shiver, and then you're kind of like, collect your thoughts, and you're just like, okay, this is what's going on. She like full on like jumps up and screams. Belts it out, and the professor says something like, I'm glad to see you find political science so stimulating.
Yeah. I was shocked when she told Will, that is not the first, well, I don't remember how she said it, but like, that is not the first freak out I've had in that class. And I'm like, yeah, they all seem pretty used to it. Maybe you need to like stop going to class and go get some help. And I thought she was going to go see the therapist because I didn't know that scene wasn't in the movie. Yeah. I was waiting.
Oh, I'm glad it wasn't. We didn't need that shit to slow things down.
Oh, Jesus Christ. We could have used anything. But
no. I think the sooner they got to the island, the better.
No, but since we're back, like kind of like a little bit towards the beginning and chronologically, because I want to discuss like the fallout after that. Number one, like I forgot that the place was called Southport. So when Ray first asked her to go back with him to Southport, I misheard and thought he said South Park, and I was like, were they in South Park? No, they couldn't have been because they were like on the coast. Yeah, with like Cartman and Kyle and. But oh my God, you killed Kenny.
Now we need like a South Park version of I Know What You Did Last Summer.
I would watch that in a heartbeat. But this is the thing. Okay, she gets all stressed out and she goes home, and that's another thing. She she grabbed. I kept mishearing and misseeing things, and I think the movie that I saw the first time or heard the first time would have made it more interesting. Like if they did go back to South Park, and if she did when she opened up the refrigerator and pulled out a bottle of clear liquid. I didn't get a good look at it, so I thought it was vodka. And I was like, damn, Julie, hard living. And it's Evian. And she's grabbing potato chips and just kind of camps out under her bedspread with who drinks bottled water and eats potato chips? I was like, pick a lane. Either you're going to grab your water and eat your carrot sticks, or you're gonna take your potato chips and grab the vodka or the root beer or what have you. You know, like. I was just kind of like, already I can't relate to Julie.
Maybe it was a 90s thing.
Even the way she binges is like a zigzag. It's like, I'm going to eat these potato chips, but I'm going to have my water so it'll keep me hydrated and healthy.
Well, we don't actually see her eat the potato chips because she just like goes into bed and she goes right to sleep. She just pulls the
She just
duvet
didn't have a
over
stuffed
her.
animal to cuddle, so she's cuddling a bag of potato chips.
She did, and this is another funny thing because she did before that kind of like there's this little like maudlin moment where she takes off of her nightstand a photo of Helen, aka Sarah Michelle Gellar, who is photographed in the clamshell from the parade from the day that she was murdered. And it's like of all your like of every photo that you have, like there wasn't even a photo of the two of them together that they could have used. Well, I know there probably wouldn't have been because like the promo shots for the first movie were like glamour, like they were just like weird, like
it didn't stop them from using Skeet Ulrich's glam shot and Screevy and Five Cream.
I wouldn't even call that a glamour shot. It was more like
he looks pretty. I mean, he's
that photo, if you like, because it's cropped, right next to him is like Nev Campbell, and they're both like they've got like a fan on them, and their like hair is being like blown backwards. Right. So that's why it's like. Yeah, that's a funny one.
Like a magazine cover.
No, but like these ones, like these promotional shots are like them standing with like a dark background behind them with like a little bit of light. But I mean, like they could have gotten creative with Photoshop or something and just like, you know, had Jennifer Love Hewitt and Sarah Michelle Gellar's face. But the picture of her the day that she was murdered, and it's like that is a fake smile that she has in that picture when she's like waving because she is not happy in that scene. And it made me think of the climax of that movie because. Remember, I pointed out how Julie gets onto Ben's boat, and there's all these photos of him like that he's been stalking them and taking photos that day. Yes. And these aren't Polaroids; they're not like self-developing in like 10 seconds. He went to a photo lab and got them developed while he was fucking unless it was retconned that his son was there the whole time and was following them around and taking care of that aspect of things, but. It's like this is the shit that I love about it because it's so stupid. Like it goes against everything that I believe in terms of like these movies, like a Scream movie and how it has to be logical and make sense because nothing about these movies of the IKWYDLS movies make any sense to me.
I mean. I would say like there's absolutely nothing scary in this movie, but the thing is there was something that actually had the potential. Like I was like, oh, that's pretty effective. I was outside of it, but it was when she was walking toward her closet and we can't tell, maybe she's dreaming, maybe she's awake, maybe it's the man with the hook, maybe it's whatever. Mm-hmm. But it turns out to be Brandy or, her friend Carla. Yeah. And Carla's like, but that's the thing is like if you see something moving inside of your closet at night and you're alone or you think you're alone and then you just have to like walk towards it, that's scary for anybody. So that was the first thing I was like, okay, that kind of works. Except it was like telegraphing. I know it's not the killer. It can't be. It's too early in the movie. And Brandy's in this, right? It's Brandy.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
she came out.
Well, that's why like the beginning of the movie is like it's a bit shaky for me because there's a lot of things that are just like they're just there to try to build up these like counterfeit scares. There's a lot of jump scares in this movie. Like there's a lot of like crashing sound effects. There's one that precedes that moment, which is kind of like the Georgina in Get Out when he's like going downstairs in the middle of the night and you just see like Georgina like scurry on by in the background. There's the musical Sting. They did that with Brandy here. But
that's creepy.
What I think is funny is just like, first of all, we get the Sam Carpenter Scream 6 thing. Well, I mean, which is technically was originally done here, where she goes into the apartment and there's like 3 deadbolts, and I think that that's actually a really interesting comparison because there's a lot about this movie that is similar to Scream 6. And we'll get into it as we go along. But that scene in particular, like why it's so funny to me is like she knows that she has a roommate. She has a Brandy. She has a Carla, and it doesn't cross her mind to like think like, oh, that's just Carla that I heard come home.
Right.
And I mean, when she wakes up, when she's disturbed out of her sleep, she goes to turn on her lamp and the light bulb goes out immediately. But there's still lights all over the apartment that could be turned on. And it's like nobody fucking turns on it. Like Carla doesn't turn on a light. Julie doesn't turn on a light. And
Carla turned on the light in the closet.
In the closet.
That was all she
did.
Yeah.
You know, if this was made in 2023, she wouldn't even do that. She would just take her phone and turn on the flashlight. But it's like it made sense for Brandy to freak out in that moment because she even says, like, I thought you were out of town because that was the plan. But for Julie, it's just like, you know you have a roommate. Why are you acting a fool for no fucking reason?
Because it's her closet. If maybe she's not used to her being in her closet. I can't believe I'm defending this movie, but I also, because then there was another like mood swing in it for me. I don't even remember. Is she trying to convince her to go out with her? And then she's just kind of like, you're coming with us. And she's just like, no, I'm not. And she's like, yes, you are. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. And then she smiled. No, I'm not. And I'm like, oh, fuck off.
Yeah. It was, because we had to get them to the nightclub. And
right.
I love her hair in this scene. Like, it's so 90s. Actually, I would say, like, Jennifer Love Hewitt's hair in this movie in general is a lot better than it was in the last one, because remember it was really flat and stringy, and there was even a line because Helen, Sarah Michelle Gellar, said to her, just like, because they had a little bit of dialogue, you were criticizing it in the first one where they're just talking about her hair, and she says to her, well, you got to have good hair if you're going to be a big shot lawyer in New York City. So that in my personal headcanon was just like, oh, she took a little something from Helen and carried it on over to her daily practice.
I wish I could have gotten on board, because I did appreciate the line when Tyrell's trying to get her to dance and she's just like, have you seen my people dance? Funny line. But I didn't hear the rest of it. She said, like, we do the blank, so fill in the blank mouth thing.
I think she was just sort of like finger snaps and like,
finger snaps, and we do the something mouth thing.
Talking, I thought she was talking about the like Elaine Bennis dance, the infamous Seinfeld,
or the white man's overbite when you go like, I don't know, but
I mean that whole scene, like it's just another stupid scene, but I love it because it's so ridiculous. Like, we're supposed to believe that, like, the fisherman got into this nightclub, he's just hanging out in a certain area, and B, like, she sees this, why would she go towards it? Like, why, like, with everything that we've seen with her character so far, if she's like afraid, it's because you're right, it's like she can't make up her mind what her feeling is, but still the fact that she's sort of embracing it or just kind of like going towards it, like she's not running from it like full on, which is why I say, like,
why you say that? What?
Well, I just say why I say, like, she's embracing her inner Ripley.
But this is the thing, okay?
Yeah.
About the inner Ripley of it all. I would love that. I would actually really, like, I remember how much I enjoyed Haunted Julie of the first movie, and how the erosion of that of that character as the movie went on, like, I was just kind of like, uh-oh, to the point where she's, you know, all bright and bubbly by the end. I think it's not even Jennifer Love Hewitt's fault. Like, like I said before, her smile does kind of like effortlessly communicate this blissful surrender to life and all that it has to offer. And but the thing is, like, she can look severe when she wants to, and I feel like this is purely like an aesthetic thing that I probably would have pursued if I were directing this, or if I were playing Julie. I would want Julie haunted again for like the longest time, not able to drop her guard, so that anytime Will, I was going to call him Matt, I don't know why. Anytime Will or Carla or Tyrell or anybody tries to kind of like make her laugh, what I really would have appreciated is just like a deadpan scowl, just gazing back at them, you know, just kind of like waiting for them to finish. And then when they finish, just kind of like, you done? And then, you know, and then it can go on. Not like in a get out of my face way, but in a I'm not going to smile, stop trying to make me smile kind of way. Like, I would have had more respect for a hard-boiled Julie like that. And then when she finally drops her guard, like if she finally starts to kind of like let herself have some fun and enjoy life, and then that's when I still know, you know, like on the karaoke machine. What the fuck? But we're jumping ahead. But
jump all over the place with this movie. That's fine.
Yeah, it's true. But she's just too easy to cheer up, and then especially she's going ape shit over a phone call from a radio station. Like, she's more excited than Carla is. She's like yipping around, like making noises and everything like that. I'm just like, what? Who are you? What is it? Maybe, and you know what? Here I'm like just thumbs downing the whole thing. The only thing that I think actually that kind of benefits that is that if she's like that about 50% of the time, I guess it makes more sense why someone like Carla, who is, really kind of like freewheeling and having a great time and all about like, we're young, let's enjoy it. And, put a smile on that face. Let's all go out and just, whatever. Take a bite out of the ass of life. It makes sense.
Who says that?
To me, why, I don't know, someone.
Okay.
It makes more sense to me why she would want to be friends with Julie, because if Julie's usually pretty chipper and has only like kind of as of late started to, get haunted, then I don't know, maybe it makes sense like she was her comrade, her partner in crime, and now she's getting all complicated and weird, but then she seems okay. Okay, cool. Let's go to the Bahamas. Let's have fun. I don't know. I feel like I'm making a case, trying desperately to make a case for this movie and what it has going for it.
I don't know why you are, because my case is just like, whatever, shut off your brain and watch it. I don't have, there's nothing to defend in terms of like quality. It's okay. You mentioned like if you were directing it, because I was looking through some of the stuff. The director of this movie, his name is not Jim Gillespie, who was the director of the first one, if I recall. Right. This was Danny Cannon.
Okay.
And interestingly, because we talked a lot about Freddie Prinze Jr. or at least I did on the last episode, and he's started his own podcast where he and a friend talk about horror movies, ironically enough, and I haven't listened to it. I don't know what it's called, but they started with I Know What You Did Last Summer. I don't know if they've done the sequel yet. I don't even know if Freddie Prinze Jr. has watched it, because in the trivia for IMDb it says that he's never watched this movie because he was told it was really bad and he doesn't want to see it. But in the first movie, he talked about this. He's even said it in interviews that the director, Jim Gillespie, was very abusive towards him. Was just like very, very rude. And kind of would like made it no secret to him that he was not his choice for Ray for the movie, and criticized a lot of the things that I kind of criticized in that episode of just like more so like facial expressions and things that Freddie Prinze Jr. would do. So yeah. I'm sorry, because clearly that was something that upset him and stayed with him, because it was his employer essentially, right, who was kind of
ultimately you want to please the director.
Yeah,
like you really want to know that regardless of what the nature of the relationship is, that that what you're giving is like worth something. That's going to be a rough day.
Yeah,
over and
but
over
yeah,
and over for a shoot.
Yeah, whatever reason, like he did not get along with him. He did not like him. Okay. And in the trivia for I Still Know, it says that Jennifer Love Hewitt was, I guess, like she was hesitant to do the movie because she found out that Jim Gillespie wasn't going to be directing it. So it's interesting, like she got along with him. So I guess like he picked favorites or something, but they were copacetic. And she like initially only wanted to do the movie if he came back. because I don't know. I think we talked about Jim Gillespie in the past. I just like what else he had done for his career, and I don't think that anything really came up that either of us.
No, this was the most high profile
Yeah.
thing. IP that he had been linked to, if I remember correctly.
Danny Cannon, he's got Judge Dredd to his name. That's the 1995 Sylvester Stallone Judge Dredd.
I was going to ask. Haven't seen either of them, but okay.
And it looks like he does a lot of TV, but I'm guessing that's that, and I still know are his biggest movie credits. So
right.
This is not a prestigious franchise where they don't have their Wes Cravens, they don't have their John Carpenters, so it's interesting that there was whatever that tension was coming off of the last movie going into this one, but I don't know. I'd be interested to get more like insight about like the behind the scenes production here, because I couldn't really find a whole lot. There's a feature on the Blu-ray, but just kind of like more so like retrospective stuff, like 25 years later. I know that there is a 4K that's coming out. I don't know if there's like new stuff that's added to it, but I'd love to hear Jennifer Love Hewitt or anyone involved like even speak to the movie or just like what was going on with it.
Yeah, even if there's like some kind of like panel on YouTube, like some Comic-Con, well, not Comic-Con because that's new stuff, but like some kind of retrospective convention panel that they could all sit on and do. Oh my God, that'd be amazing. Can you imagine? But I do want to speak to Freddie Prinze Jr. in this movie because it's harder to say now that I know that he was getting criticized for the faces he was making in the first movie, because the faces that he made in this movie kind of dwarfed the faces that he made in the other one. And I don't say this out of hatred or malice or any kind of I think Freddie Prinze Jr. is a great guy, and the more I learn about him as the years go on, the more I'm just kind of like, what a sweetie. But in this movie, because I don't remember how exactly we described it, but there was always kind of like a lost puppy, like look on his face. And in this movie, he's ape shit as well. Like he's just got the crazy eyes. They're open really, really wide, and especially when he makes the decision, like I have to get to the Bahamas via boat from Southport, not Park, and somehow get to the Bahamas and hold a gun that I exchanged for the ring. Yeah. Okay, and all of that, I was like, okay, it was the ring. Like an engagement ring that he was holding on to because he wanted to propose to Julie. Is that what we were supposed to derive from that?
Did you not?
I was confused.
I was like, and heterosexual couples, you just like you never understand what's. Of course, he was going to propose to her.
No,
here's a question. Knowing Julie and knowing Ray, how do you think that would have gone down? If like, say nothing bad would have happened and he showed up and got down on his knee or whatever, if that's what he did, or just like open and be like, here, look at this.
She would have been tickled by it, and she would have been enchanted, and she would have said yes, and then doubted it later.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then they would have broken up.
Because even talking to the mood shifts on the way to the karaoke, we'll jump ahead to that again. We lead into the whole "I will survive" moment with her being torn over, like kind of like, I don't know, Will seemed like kind of like I mean, maybe she just saw him with his shirt off for the first time or something like that, and she's just kind of like, I don't know, kind of like thinking about him, like, and looking at him in a whole new way, but I'm still thinking about Ray. I don't know what to do. Like that's where she is. That's the level of conversation we're having. People are dying. Who cares? Maybe she doesn't know.
They don't know. Nobody knows.
She's scared.
Yet. Actually, nobody
she's scared
has
for her life.
Nobody has died yet.
Torn
at that
between
point.
two lovers.
Other than I think,
torn between two would-be lovers.
Yes. That's not true. The friend died. I don't know his name, but he's John Hawkes.
Oh yeah. But she didn't know about that. Right?
No, she didn't know about that. But anyway, he's in the movie. Yeah. We saw him previously in Identity. Maybe something else. I can't remember.
Buffy. And From Dusk Till Dawn.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. He's in all of those.
Yeah. Anyway, that was a fun little thing. Like he was the opening kill. Not really.
That was another face from Freddie Prinze Jr. When he gets killed. I was going, oh no, and then I see Freddie Prinze Jr. going full like Simpson face, like a cartoon on The Simpsons, like no,
with like the tongue,
big eyes,
like
big mouth, yeah,
out.
no. Like a howling cartoon dog. I'm just like, what is happening? Again, what is happening? I kept asking that.
Follows that when the fisherman gets into the truck and it's like chasing him down because he's running away, but then he has the time to do this like little like ballerina twirl around a few times to check to make sure he's still behind me. I got to keep running. So he's kind of like running in reverse and doing these like spin arounds. And while this other truck is coming, like the oncoming lane, and all I could think is like, just like run sideways, just go off the road. Anyway, but again, this is not a criticism. This is me just pointing out why this is so masterfully campy, in my opinion.
Right, you're celebrating these details. I'm being eaten away by them.
Yeah.
But then we get to the island and we meet like Derek with the affectation, Jamaican accent. We find because he's just like, hey, yo man, whatever. And then Titus. Okay, I flashed back to a scary movie, I think, at the end when when Bobby and what's Sean Wayans' character's name? I always forget his name. The gay one.
I don't know. It's been a while since I've seen it.
The gay Wayans in the scary movie, not Marlon, not Shorty, the other one, and I
think it's Ray.
They're sitting there and he's just kind of like, oh Ray, okay. Is it Ray?
Yeah, I remember right. Brenda just being like, "Oh, Ray!" Yeah. And even the scene. Right. Sorry, I'm like totally cutting you off here, but I got Scary Movie from when Brandy was like jumping on the bed over Tyrell. He's just like, "Oh, it's Brenda."
Yes. Oh my God. Although I'd rather watch Regina Hall any day, but Brandy. We'll get to Brandy in a second. But Jack, like I remember the exchange in Scary Movie about just kind of like. Don't they say like something about that fat white Jamaican dude? And there's like, God, I wanted to kill that motherfucker. And I'm just kind of like, I guess I'll get it when I watch it. Who is this Jamaican dude? And at first I thought, I can't remember if they said white or not. So I was like, oh, is it Derek? Is he going to be really annoying? Because I'm not annoyed. And then I see Jack Black and I'm just kind of like, oh, they had to be talking about Titus. Because I love Jack Black. Not in this movie. It's... good for him for getting paid. That's all I can say. Man,
I wonder if he's ever seen this movie. Here. I remember like the first time I saw this in the theater, like I was like, what, really? He might have been uncredited.
Had he done anything big before this? Like, I mean, I know he was in stuff. I know my first thing I ever saw him in was The Cable Guy. I think that was the first thing I ever saw him in. And he was playing Matthew Broderick's real best friend, and Jim Carrey was the creepy best friend, but the would-be best friend.
Well,
the single white female.
He was uncredited in this, so I don't know if that was. I don't think that was what's his face in Scream. Why am I drawing a blank?
Henry Winkler?
The Fonz, the Fonz, where he's just like, let me be uncredited so we can like give the focus to the younger cast. This was probably like Jack Black being like, oh dear God, don't even put my name on that.
Yeah, I'll show up, just don't put my name on it.
Yeah.
Let it be a cameo. Maybe it was originally just supposed to be a cameo and it ended up building into, kind of like Buster Rhymes in Halloween Resurrection. They just kept giving him more and more screen time.
Could you imagine if if that was like the hero of the story? Like at the end, it's not Ray who comes in the last minute. It's actually well, he wouldn't say trick or treat motherfucker, but he
no
something like 420 y'all, and then like
He could have done like a Peter Pan quote, because I forgot. I didn't know that the fisherman was the same fisherman as the last movie. So I just wrote in all my notes, I just wrote down Captain Hook anytime I referred to him. So he could have done like a Peter Pan quote and been like, "Dark and sinister man, have at thee." But only I would have gotten that.
Who knows?
But I did write right after I wrote Titus, Jack Black, is he here just to die? And yeah, pretty much. That's the reason he was there. I wanted to. I don't know if you know this offhand. Yeah. I was curious if they fictionalized this for the movie or if it's actually true. Is July 4th, or around the vicinity of that time, actually storm season in the Bahamas? Is that like actually true, or did they construct a fact?
I'll Google it.
Okay. Storm season in the Bahamas, because I'm curious. I wanted to know, and I didn't have time to look it up before we recorded. So
it did seem very specific. I loved the way that they arrive on the island and it's like happening. There's like people there. It's bright and sunny. It doesn't, I mean, like normally like hotels, like checkout is early in the morning. Like you're out of there by 11. And here, I mean, I don't know what time they got there officially, but it's like, we didn't see any of these people leave. Like they're just like last boat, and everyone was just kind of still like hanging out by the pool. They go into the reception area. It is empty. And and then the next time we kind of like get a glimpse of anything else on the island, everyone's gone. It's like starting to get like, ominous, like cloudy and all that. And it's just like, wow, they really, like, all I could think of was like Scream 2 and like Randy's death scene where like all of a sudden like nobody's in the quad anymore when he's on the phone with the killer. It's like they've all like miraculously cleared out, and then like,
except for that team with the giant boom box, just after he's pulled into the van.
That would be Jack Black. Yeah.
Right.
Hurricane season in the Bahamas runs from early June to late November. So they took a little creative liberty there, because they extended it or like pulled it back by a month. But it was very convenient that it was just like, it's exactly every year on July 4th. It's this happens even at the beginning, because remember when she, after the nightmare and she's with Will outside, and someone like rides by on a bike and they throw firecrackers down and she has like PTSD, and they're like happy 4th of July, and I'm thinking like, wait a second, like when is 4th of July actually? Because they're playing with time here, It's like Black Christmas 2019. We're just like, what? Is it actually Christmas? Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, where we're just like slowly inching towards the actual day.
Exactly. Just stretching.
Well, because on the grave, on the grave at the end, because it says like Julie James, July 4th. And I love that even in that moment, she's just like, Carla, what's the date?
Yeah, again, we know, Julie, but I mean, again, if you're leaning into the camp of it all, that is a very campy direction to go. Yeah. I just wish I'd been kind of like in, the little doom buggy for the ride. Like I was outside the ride, filing my nails, watching you and, all your kind on the ride going, oh, they look like they're having fun. That ride's going to break any minute. It's just going to stop, and they're going to be like stalled, and people, the workers are going to have to climb up and give a ladder and be like, climb down the ride before it starts again. We have no control. We have no exit strategy. Anyway, I was really happy, just a little detour, not even a detour, just like a comment. I was really happy to see Bill Cobbs as Estes. In the movie, because he's a character actor who was in everything in the 80s and 90s, and he always played like the same kind of like grouchy old man that I loved. So he always just kind of like, seemed to be in not a bad mood, but just like, over it. And and he still kind of had that territoriality about like the hotel and everything like that, the way he does anytime they put him in charge of an environment. It's just, I remember he was on one episode of Northern Exposure. I think I've mentioned on this show, on this pod before, where he played a barber who didn't like getting requests for haircuts he gave people. He'd say, "I'm gonna give you the haircut you deserve, and no more, no less. And if that's a problem with you, the door's right there." And I'm just like, yes, I would so get a haircut from that guy. And he's always that guy. But and John Hawkes, incidentally, was in one episode of Northern Exposure too.
He definitely he has a very like condescending way about him, but like it's so passive aggressive that like you wouldn't even know, because he like he knows that Will is in on it. Like he just looks at him and he's like, "Oh yeah, like you're the son," sort of thing, because he says to him, because he's like, "Oh, I'll get those." He's like, "No, I've been doing this long before you were a gleam in your father's eye." And then he gives him this like he just leers at him a little like, "I'm onto you, son."
Yeah. Well, maybe not. I mean, this is the thing. I didn't watch it kind of like, oh, Will's the killer, obviously. Okay. I mean, I will say I wasn't surprised when we found out. I was just kind of like, oh yeah, of course. It was like Quinn getting unmasked in Screevy. I'm just kind of like, and it's Quinn, you know. Yeah.
Well,
she didn't get killed. She's alive. That's her. Take the mask off. It's her. It's not Mindy.
I remember.
Why did you think that?
I remember like the first time I saw this, because I wasn't under the impression that this was like a ghost face situation. Because it's not. I don't think that. I would even argue, like, did Will even kill anyone, or who was just sort of like helping his father do stuff, because he was never the fisherman. That was always Ben Willis. But you know, when I saw this movie, I wasn't like going into it thinking that it was a mystery and that there was like a killer sort of thing. But they really like throw in a lot of red herrings throughout the movie. Like everyone's like suspicious for some reason, that it's like they're setting it up that someone is like an accomplice or anything. But I guess like I just always like of the mindset, like we know it's Ben Willis, like he's been revealed. You know, it's almost like if this franchise did, you know, have the legs to go on forever, that might have been like the Friday the 13th part 1 to then like the rest of the series, where it's just like it was a mystery that it was Mrs. Voorhees, but then once she's revealed at the end of the movie, now we know going forward what we're in for. So that's just, that was the perception I always had. So I mean, I wouldn't say that I was like surprised or not from like the reveal, because this is 25 years ago that I first saw it in the theater. But I mostly remember being like, oh, so what's this about now? Like it was, and I didn't like this movie when I first saw it. Like I thought it was like, you know, pretty mid. I mean it is, but I didn't appreciate the camp of it at the time. So it wasn't like, to me, it did feel like kind of like a retread of Scream, or just like a lesser version when they you know, start doing the like, oh, you don't get it, or like the, you know, we're revealing the motive and the monologuing and all that. And as I was watching it, you know, last night, all I could think of was just like, oh, it's the Scream 6 finale. It's just like the, you know, all you needed was like Dermot Mulroney there, and little Ethan to be like, I'm not even Will Benson. Ben's son, you know, get it? You know?
Oh, Jesus Christ. I thought he did a good job playing it, and I honestly, like, I thought
Matthew Settle,
for what she was given,
the actor.
Oh yeah, the actor.
Matthew Settle.
Matthew Settle, and I know I've seen him in other stuff before.
He's but I'll be damned if I know the thing that I know him most for outside of this, is that, and probably what he's known most for, is that he is Penn Badgley's dad on Gossip Girl.
Oh, I don't know.
Penn Badgley.
I don't know. I don't know Gossip Girl. I haven't watched it.
Anyway,
I know who Penn Badgley is.
Okay, just checking.
Oh my God, I love that you just said it again, like I didn't get the joke or
Penn.
something. Okay, but anyway, no, but I thought he did a pretty good job, like with the performance. I mean, it was all ridiculous by the end and everything. But I was the one who I was actually kind of like the most impressed with, and actually and wanted more for her was Brandy. Because I actually thought, like, there's not much to this character, but I buy everything that she's doing. And she, when she kind of pulls Julie aside, like, she's trying to pull her into the fun, but then when she realizes there's something else, you know, like, going on, or Julie, you know, like, we need to get Julie out of this funk or whatever, like, she goes over, takes her to the little gym for, like, a 30-second scene, but she's all kickboxing and shit. And Julie gets on a Stairmaster and takes like 6 steps and gives up. And I'm just kind of like, clearly Carla is the final girl material, you know? Like, Julie should be dead. She should be so dead right now. And that said, one thing that I really appreciated from both of them, because I forget what it is. Is it the first time we hear Carla scream? Is it because she discovered the housekeeper's body? Is that why she?
The maid
lets out a big old.
Well,
bellow?
it's this really like stupid thing because she's distracted by the dryer, and it was like a callback to the scene earlier when they were still
with the shoes
at home with the because she's like, that's a lot of shoes is what she says, and it's just like, who cares? You're at a hotel, you know that there's like people doing like hotel jobs here, as far as you know. Like, why is she like, they had to like find any reason just to like get her to go to that thing. And I love that, like, when she discovers it and she screams, and then they're like simultaneously discovering Titus, and they hear her scream and they go to rescue her, and it's like all of a sudden she's trapped in that room. Like, there was a doorway.
Right.
But she's like, the only way out apparently is for them to like destroy property and like pull her through this tiny little window. But then I also
didn't appreciate that she had a great scream, but neither of the guys screamed when they saw Titus. So it's just kind of like sexism. I don't like this. One of them should have been like, ah, you know, even if it's just Will faking it. Screaming, like, come on.
That would have worked. Yeah, that would have been a good thing to look back on in hindsight. But that particular scene, because that like segues into like probably what I consider to be the crux of like the camp of this movie and why it's so fucking stupid, is the tanning bed scene. Can we call it a set piece? I don't know. Like, it's
only because it reminded me of the Final Destination 3 set piece.
Yeah. Well, okay, but that was like really like full blown, like there was death there. There was like that was a set piece. Yeah, there was like a system that was happening. And with Julie, because I don't know how that machine works, because when he like turned up that dial, I mean, as far as I know about like tanning beds, you can't like turn up the heat or anything. You just turn on the timer, and it just like extends the time that you're in there. Yeah. So that's all. Like, that's all he did.
You're gonna be in there for hours.
And they don't even go that long. There's like a limit. It's like, probably like 30 minutes is like the most that it might do.
So
but he puts
whole minutes.
Yeah, but the best part is that he takes out a zap strap and puts it on the thing. First of all,
zip tie.
Yeah. I've like, I mean, I don't know. Maybe like there's tanning beds of all different kinds, but I've never seen a tanning bed with like handles on it that could like facilitate that. But what I thought was just so funny about it is how she immediately panicked upon like like he turned it up, and it's like she somehow sensed it. This is why I question, like, did the heat go up or whatever? But she sensed it, and then she tried to open the thing, and she couldn't get out, and started freaking out. And and they come in there all hysterical, and I mean, they did just see dead bodies, so I mean, like, maybe they're not thinking straight, but it's like the quickest solution that I could think of is like, A, turn off the power button, B, unplug the machine. But they're like, we need to find something in the room to break this fucking thing open, and they like, I think they had like a dumbbell, I forget what it is exactly that they use, but they like broke glass. And I feel like this is more dangerous than if you just sort of like shimmied your body out from like the side of it, because you probably could have still.
I mean, I do have to say, because I'm trying to find the positive in this thing, just so it doesn't sound like I'm completely tearing this movie apart. One of the things that I found compelling, and actually the most compelling I've ever seen Jennifer Love Hewitt was her performance inside of, regardless of whether it was a warranted moment, you know, that really earned that kind of hysteria kind of almost instantly. I bought it. I was like, oh shit. Also, I mean, it's as erratic as everything else she'd been doing in the movie up until that point. So sure, why not? And I accepted it, but I bought it. Like, I was like, okay, you earned your paycheck that day, or however many days you spent in that thing having to freak out and scream. Like, you went for broke. Good for you, Jennifer Love Hewitt. That is the most, I think, authentic I've ever seen her, from my opinion. You know, and I haven't seen all of her movies or anything like that, so don't at me if you're a Jennifer Love stan. But but I really liked it. I enjoyed her chaotic. But that's another thing. Is like, I like seeing the peril and the doldrums on her. I like seeing everything that we don't, you know, usually associate with kind of like, you know, a Jennifer Love Hewitt performance or whatever. So, I don't know.
I mean, this particular section of the movie is a lot, because this is where like it turns up, because, you know, they're discovering the bodies. It's like going for it. And, you know, if I had a complaint just in terms of, you know, people that I wanted to see more of, I'm kind of upset that, you know, maybe that there's a lot of off-screen kills, in particular, the hotel manager, played by genre veteran Jeffrey Combs from Reanimator, and he was in House on Haunted Hill '99. This is the second week in a row we've mentioned that. I've mentioned it, but he was great. Like, he just like was so over their bullshit. Like, he hated them, and I love that. It's just like, we need more sarcastic like characters like that here. And I really wish that we, like, you know, if we weren't gonna get like more scenes with him, like, I would have at least wanted to see like his kill. But it was a fun reveal regardless. Like, I love that they just go in there and it's like, did he have like a machete in his head or something?
I don't remember. Yeah. I don't know. I was so over it by the time we got to that
really?
Point. But I really was. I mean, again, like, kind of like the way I missed the whole Ray Ring thing. I was just kind of like, I mean, I guess you two are, you know, like, what MFEO made for each other. In your eyes and everything. Like, I mean, that said, your girl is like she's on the fence about whether she should like start fucking this other guy, and you know, like, so in the Bahamas where it doesn't count, I guess. So like, she's not as serious as you are, bro. Like, she's not. It's not a proposal, kind of, like I said, she would have accepted the proposal and then regretted it later. But but did I also miss, when they're making the discovery and everything like that, all of a sudden, Julie says that Rio isn't really the capital of Brazil. Did I miss her finding that out? Like, how did she suddenly, you know what, guys, I just realized.
No, this is how that plays out. And because this is brilliant.
Okay.
For how fucking stupid it is. Because, and this is what's so funny about, like, Cobbs just, like, jumping up from behind the couch or whatever, wherever he was hiding, because it's so, I mean, like, I was kind of like a geography nut when I was younger.
Oh,
like, no, I knew I could like tell you like every state in the US. This is someone from Canada, and I could tell you the capital of every state. I knew like capitals of like countries and everything. So it was interesting to me when, you know, to see that in the movie, when they're just like, what's the capital of Brazil? Because I knew it was Brasilia. And they're just like, Rio. I'm just like, oh, that's wrong. But like, whatever. And then it came up again, and I got all giddy at that moment, because it's just like, the globe is spinning. And all I could think of is like, Estes like was like stalking them. Because we know that he like stole their belongings to protect them.
Toothbrush and whatnot, yeah.
But he was like following them around. He's like, now's my time. He's so theatrical, and he starts spinning the globe, and he's like he, and goes and hides behind the couch or whatever. So Julie notices the globe spinning and goes over and stops it exactly on the spot where she needs to, and she's like, Brasilia, and then And then he pops up and he's like, Brasilia is the capital.
I totally missed that.
Were you out of the room or something?
No, I think I was writing my notes.
You and your fucking notes, man. I
just wrote because I think I wrote this as the movie's core 4 discover Estes' altar. I'm losing patience. Maybe that's when that happened.
No, it was way after.
Okay, then I don't know.
You need to stop taking notes and watch the movies.
I couldn't stop with this one because this is another thing. I was afraid, and I'm really, really glad I did for this one because honestly, I don't know what I would remember if I had to just sit here and discuss the movie with you. Most of it would be you explaining the movie to me, just like literally like, Zack, just take me through the movie.
Yeah.
And if I remember, something I get this is why I was like kind of surprised after it was all over, like kind of going like, so Zack prefers this one, because I honestly think I'm the other side of the fence. I do prefer the original to this sequel. With all of its flaws. It's not like I think it's a great movie either, or anything like that. But I find it so much more memorable, and I find it the highs are so much higher for me. Like there is promise, there is potential. I really missed. I mean, I like I said with Brandy, and I haven't mentioned Mekhi Phifer yet. What an empty role they gave him. All we know about Tyrell is he wants to get it on. And then he's kind of like aggressive when he finds out people are dying. Like he's like a mini version of Barry from the first movie, like aggressive and sexually charged, but no nuance and not enough time on screen. We don't ever learn anything about him at all. I mean, unless do we? Let me know if I'm wrong.
But he did have a moment that I actually really liked, and it was a moment with Julie. Okay. And it was, when they go into the kitchen and they're like grabbing the knives and Brandy, because she like takes out knives and she's like, is this good? And he's sort of like, at this point, he's almost like the voice of reason. He's just kind of like, no, like you got to hold it like this or whatever. And Julie's like holding this like little blade or whatever. And she's so like intently focused on it. Like she's just like, everything else has like disappeared around her. She's just looking at this knife and she's just like honed in on it, and she's had enough. She's over it, and he kind of looks at her and he's like, he gets it. Like they connect in that moment, and it's like the only time in the whole movie that they actually connect. And he's just like, no, like whatever. I forget what the actual, like, if there even was like words exchanged or anything, but it was just like, I felt it, and it was a cute moment. And then that's when he's just like, okay, let's go find the pantry. And you're like, well, are we gonna hide in there? He's like, no, I'm just fucking hungry.
Right.
But yeah, I agree with you. Like he was very one note with everything except like that moment of just like that, whatever that was between him and Julie. It's just like, we needed more of that. But interestingly, he is the boy in the Brandy Monica music video.
Yeah,
the boy is mine. Funny little correlation there. But
and I remember seeing him. Interestingly, he's one note in this other movie as well. But I remember seeing him in the Dawn of the Dead remake. And even though he's very one note, or as far as I remember, like if I see it again, maybe I won't think he's as one note now that I've seen this. But
I don't think that he was.
But even though
one note, but he's definitely a similar type of character.
Yeah, he slid into like kind of borderline cliche for me when his character went into the extreme direction that he went to. Now that said, I don't think it was poorly acted or even poorly executed. I'd have to see it again. And, if we do a pod, we can discuss that one. But with this, I just kind of felt like, I know what you can do. I wish they would have given you an opportunity to be something other than like the guy in the sequel. Because we didn't get to know him too well. And even the moment that you described between him and Julie, I was so focused on Julie because she got that cray look in her eyes while she's holding the knife and everything. I couldn't tell what was going on. I thought he was just kind of taking in the fact like, oh, she can do some damage. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. you know?
Yeah.
And then she was just like, yes, I can, with her eyes, you know? I thought, oh, okay, cool. That's whatever. But then I forget, he's not alive much longer after that either, because he gets what seems to be clearly a CGI hook through his neck. It looked like total CGI to me.
Yeah. Well, I don't. Well, first of all, I don't know, where was the fisherman even hiding? Because he was like, it was almost like he was like doing a like a Matilda. I'm just thinking of like the family movie where she was like under the table, but he was like under like the stovetop fan, and then he just jumped down and like swung the hook onto his neck.
He's everywhere. Well, Randy Meeks says the killer's always superhuman in another franchise, but you know.
Yeah, no, that was like right after the scene where they found Nancy in the pantry, because she was just like, this place didn't have a murder rate until you folks showed up.
Well, that was another one. I wish we could have gotten to know more about Nancy. I feel like we got to know Anne Heche more in her little part.
I forgot about Anne Heche in the first one.
Yeah. No, I can never forget about her.
Yeah.
But I wish we gotten to know a little bit more about Nancy, because even though I did feel like when Carla fell through that hole, and Nancy seemed to be going over to help her, and Julie wasn't. She's like standing idly by while she's screaming for her life, and the fisherman, Captain Hook's like going at her and everything like that.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I'm just kind of like, but Julie, that's your girl. Come on, go. Nancy is helping her. Nancy doesn't even know her. And then she pulled her up, and I was like, oh my God, if Carla dies before Nancy, I'm gonna be pissed, because already I'm kind of quasi rooting for for Carla, just because she resembles a final girl a little bit more than Julie does up until this point, especially at this point. And Nancy, I know even less about.
I feel like,
yeah.
I mean, I feel like I know Nancy because she's like works in the service industry, and I used to work in the service industry, so I just feel like a kinship with her. Like she's a grouchy bartender. I get it.
Sure.
And she's just like, and she's true. It's just like, this place didn't. I mean, technically, it did have a murder rate before they showed up, but she don't know that. But like I liked her. Like she was the sassy like side character that we needed a lot more of. Right. Like I feel like the hotel staff itself, like, well, not all of them obviously, but I feel like Estes, Nancy, and the manager, like they were great. I wanted a lot more from them. I even love the moment when Julie's found the body of Derek, and then she goes outside screaming, and the fisherman. I always love like the idea that like Ben Willis is like, wiping up the blood and just like quickly working before everyone gets back in, so just to make it seem spotless. But I love how like they're all in there, the manager's reaming them out, and Nancy's just kind of like, it's almost like she's been woken up out of her slumber, and she's like, what's going on here? And they're like, she said she found a dead body, and her response is, cool, or whatever she said.
I did want to ask you something, because it went right over my head, and I even ran the movie back to rewatch it and go, what did you just say? And the second time I watched it, it just over my head. I could not follow what Estes was saying as he's walking with the crew to the through the cemetery to the tombstone and everything like that. He's telling them something. I just couldn't follow it. Like he's telling them about like the history of the place. What does he say?
I mean, I can't tell you verbatim, but what he's
no, not verbatim, but just like, what's the story?
Yeah.
Like, what did I miss?
What he's explaining to them is that Ben Willis lived, like he worked at the hotel, and he lived there with his family, so with his wife and his two kids. Right. He has a son and a daughter. The daughter is the one that died previous to the original, because she was the one that Egon guy, or like Anne Heche's brother, they were in a car accident or whatever happened, and then that's when Ben Willis killed that guy, and that was the night that they hit Ben Willis with the car. Sorry, just a little backstory. So that whole family, they lived on that island, and he worked at that hotel like years ago, and that's where Estes knows him from. And the wife was either having an affair or Ben Willis like accused her of having an affair, and he murdered her in room 201, which was like the room that they were staying in. That's why they're just like, oh, 201, like nobody ever stays there. And they're like, why? He's like, no particular reason, even though there is one, and I'm gonna wait 40 more minutes to tell you. But
sure.
Yeah, basically the whole idea is that like Ben Willis has been a murderer for long before the events of even the first movie, and this is kind of like his backstory, and it was like his revenge to, bring Julie back there to add her to this, pile of bodies that he's accumulated there. It doesn't make any sense. Okay. Like Ben Willis is more irrational, I'd say, than any of the Ghostface killers from the Scream franchise. Like I just like motive wise, nothing he does really makes any sense. Like it's just like he's just purely evil. He's pure evil. That it's like the whole thing, like it's petty, It's like they ran him over with the car, and now it's like now he has this vendetta against them, and I don't know. We don't need to get into that, but I always question like how Ray was kind of like he kind of got off pretty easy in the first movie. Like he got a letter. Remember that was like his big thing. Oh.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess he is like dispatched like earlier on here, and maybe like the fisherman just assumed that he was dead. But like other than that, like think about like the way that he treats Julie in comparison to Ray. Like he just quickly takes him out on the highway, whereas he has this like full elaborate revenge scheme for Julie, where he's gonna like get his son to gaslight her, and they're gonna like take them to the island where he murdered his wife. Like he's obsessed with her. I was gonna say, and obsessed with her daughter, but
and obsessed with her daughter.
But he's obsessed with her, and
well, maybe it's because Ray never threw his arms out in the middle of the road and spun in a circle, going, "What are you waiting for?" But I don't mind getting into it actually, because it did occur to me while I was watching the movie. I remember the last pod we discussed probably the biggest shared flaw of Julie and Ray is that they do nothing to kind of like own their part in hitting him, and knowing that he was hit with the car and possibly killed and all that, and the disposal of the body and all that. They just they more than anything seem to kind of like cover for him. So I'm watching this movie thinking, well, first of all, I'm just thinking it's Captain Hook. I don't know that it's Will, what's his name? Ben Willis.
Ben Willis. And
Will I would keep wanting to call him Will Benson, Will Benson.
Yeah.
But no, but that Ben Willis, once I found out it was him, I was like, so what's you're right. Like the revenge is incredibly petty, because you should have squashed this beef just because they covered your tracks. No one is hunting you right now because they never told your story to anyone of any consequence. There's nobody who can follow up and start the hunt for like Ben Willis. Let's track him down and let's make him pay for his crimes for however many of these people that he's killed off now. Yeah. Even in this movie. And it's like the pursuit of Julie, like even if she it would have like acknowledged that in one of their confrontations and could have said, I never told anybody about anything. You should be like preserving me. Like I kept your secret, like I'm kind of on your side. But I guess that's not,
I don't think,
like trait.
They definitely weren't thinking as nuanced like that with the writing, because we did discuss this, and there is this hypocrisy to Julie and Ray, because at the end of the movie, like they're like the cop asks them, like, do you have any idea why this is happening? And they're just like, no idea at all. So they're not being accountable for it. But also, like, the fact is that there another human life or multiple human lives that have been affected by this outside of their group and like the other people who've been killed because of it. Yeah. Because Missy and Haish is under the impression that her brother committed suicide. And it's like the truth is that he was murdered by this person. So they're covering up a murderer in a way. And I mean, like, I guess they're who knows? Because there's sort of a gray area there with Missy, because I think that she was like happy to like leave it as it was because she got like the insurance money for his death or whatever. But it's still like there's this moral grayness to it all, which is interesting. I'm not criticizing the characters for it, but I would criticize that they sort of, you know, they just kind of run with it, and it's not like questioned at all, and especially in the sequel. And it's similar, like another correlation to Scream 6, because the same thing happens with Sam in the end, because she like full on puts, and people get so mad at me when I say this because they're just like, how dare you? But it's like, it's true. She put on a ghost face costume, she made a call, and she like brutally murdered the killer when she didn't have to do it. Because it's like there's other priorities. Kirby's over on the floor bleeding out. She can call for backup, whatever. And it's sort of like, it's one of these things that like, obviously they're not going to tell anyone that they did it. And I mean, I'll be damned if like Scream 7 comes out and then we find out that that's just pushed under the rug. But, you know, here I wouldn't expect it just because of like, kind of like the bar that's been set for the IKWYDLS franchise. But you're absolutely.
I love that I can see you reading it.
I had to like look at the screen. It's like that's how I do. I would never. I would be like I'm not that fast.
No, me neither.
Yeah.
Me neither.
But thanks for ruining the illusion for the people listening.
He's reading it, folks. He's looking at the screen.
Yeah.
Go on.
But yeah, just getting the whole fucking revenge of it all, and just like it's petty. It's petty and it's stupid, and it also makes me think that Ben Willis is a Scorpio. I'm taking full ownership of that.
Somebody should take ownership of something in this franchise.
I was trying. I was literally trying to like, okay, because that's the new thing that we do now. Well, that I do is just like, okay, what's their sign? And I gave up. Like, I don't even care at this point, with the characters. But, getting back to like the Julie and Ray relationship, because it's just like, we probably talked about this in the first one. Like, they have no chemistry. There's no reason for them to be together. There's like they're the only time that they thrive is when they're like put in peril, because every other time it's like we have nothing else in common. There's nothing keeping us together. That whole scene when he like comes to pick her up, like there could have been some sort of compromise or something. Like they could have like, okay, well let's just go out somewhere here for now, and then I got to get back to Southport later on tonight or whatever. Because like, what was the plan anyway? He was just gonna like take her home, and then he was just gonna leave her to do her own thing while he worked. I mean, I guess she has her mom there, but you know, she's apparently irrelevant to the movies at this point. But all I can think is like it's just characters who are not communicating with each other when they easily could. Because he storms off. He's got this like grand scheme of a plan where it's just like, I'm going to propose to her, but I had to like create drama first. And she's scared, but she's afraid to tell him. Because, you know, he storms off and she says like, I'm just scared is all. And then everything that you've already talked about. But then when we get to the end of the movie, like the end, which, and this is the one complaint that I really have for the I cannot defend this end scene, because it is so pedestrian. It's so terrible. It's like I would rather go back to like the bubbly Julie in the locker room, because here in this scene, which a friend of mine, Mike Newquist, actually pointed out that like Julie from like the end of like the stuff at the Bahamas to this scene has aged 30 years. She rolls up to this suburban home in a minivan and she's wearing like mom jeans and like she just goes into the house and Ray's like they're just like having this like little like chit chat. She's just like, why didn't you wake me? And he's like, oh, you just look so comfortable on the couch. He's brushing his teeth. Like, I felt like, is this an ad for like a fucking, like a electric toothbrush commercial? Because he's like, I love this thing. And he's trying to say something. He's like, you better not go to sleep, girl. Because I've got like like I'm going to do sex to you. And like they don't, not without saying it. But all I can think of is just like, they're so, nothing about them. Like, there's no sex appeal to their relationship. Like they're both very attractive.
Absolutely not.
They're very attractive people.
Yes, they are.
But together they have zero sex appeal. And I just like just seeing them try to force this relationship. And now that we know that they've been married for 30 years. I'm assuming that this is another nightmare because they wanted to make a third movie and it didn't happen. But it just really paints the picture for me that like they need to stop with the Ray and the Julie of it all. Because even in the first movie, in the dream sequence, because you were commenting about it, because she's like, I'm wearing a towel, mister. Like, you can ravage me all you want next week when I see you. But then it's just like nothing, even though we're not even seeing Freddie Prinze Jr. Doing the scene with her. She's just talking on the phone to someone. But even like picturing him, like, you know, saying these words to her, she's just like, oh, behave or whatever, you know. It's just like, no, this is gross. There's just something very wrong about them.
It's like watching cousins try to make it work. It really is. Like, that's the nature. Yeah. If I have to like watch them kiss or interact physically in any way, I'm just gonna go because it's just wrong. It's wrong. Yeah. It should not be happening.
But it's okay because she understands his pain.
Yeah, she understands his pain. Oh my God, I still swear to God, Kevin Williamson did not write that line. But I did write the last note that I wrote for the entire movie after a big, what is this movie? With 3 question marks, was Julie is a little less intolerable at the epilogue of this movie, except for the fact that a damn teddy bear makes her smile. I'm just like, how fucking simple. I mean, if it were a pet, if they had a kitten or a puppy or even a baby, like, something alive or a flower. Like, if she could just like look at something and just kind of like smile. But the fact that it's a damn bear that's sitting there and then her reaction is just to kind of go like, oh my God, with a big smile on her face. I'm like, what? It's a teddy bear. Why is it making you speak, you dumb shit? I'm sorry. I get really triggered with this character.
Like thinking of the teddy bear, like, because I'm like, were they expecting a baby or something? Because like that, okay, nothing about that room. Like, it looks like just like a guest bedroom. I don't think that was their actual bedroom because she walked out of her room to go into this one. But it's just like they may as well have just like had a crib in there because it's like, what is this big fucking teddy bear doing in this room?
Then it would have made some sense. I would have been like, oh, is there a baby on the way? It wouldn't have saved the movie for me or the ending at all, but it would have at least made sense.
What do you make of like because we're getting a requel, and nothing has been, as far as I know, nothing. There's like an idea. There's a concept. I don't know if it's been written or anything. Like, we're in the middle of the writer's strike currently, but Freddie Prinze Jr. and Jennifer Love Hewitt have both said that they have not been contacted about this. We know in the past that that's, you know, sometimes could be bullshit. Like, Neve Campbell said the same thing, as well as David Arquette for Scream 5, and we knew that they had been contacted. They're just doing what they had to do.
But there's going to be a press release. They're waiting to release the information at the appropriate time, so and so forth. Yeah.
What? Because now that we're talking about Julie and Ray, like, what do you? Yeah. I was going to ask, like, what do you want to see? But I know you just don't want to see it, so I'm just going to ask, what do you think? What do you conjecture might come about in a requel with the two of them?
I don't want them both to headline. I'd like for the first scene to be one of them, probably Freddie Prinze Jr., because it makes more sense that way.
Yeah.
Just to be killed off. And Julie has to, because then Julie can really, I mean, we'll see how long she mourns for, but like I can see her on the way out of the funeral just going like, my eyeliner didn't run, I used waterproof mascara today, I'm so happy. Oh, Ray. Ooh, cupcakes, you know. Like she's just gonna be the most ADHD mourner, the ADHD widow of the century. But
if they're even married,
if they're even married, of course. Well, they're straight people. Of course, they're married. But of
course,
I don't really mean that, folks. I'm totally kidding. But I mean, honestly, if they're playing the same roles, I really do want him to get killed.
Yeah.
Because I don't want poor Freddie Prinze Jr. First of all, I don't want to see any more of the two of them because I don't get anything from it.
Yeah.
And I don't want him to get looped into making another bad movie. And at least if Jennifer Love Hewitt's on her own, they can pretty much do anything with that character.
I mean, she pretty much was on her own, at least separated from him throughout this movie. Like he was such a side storyline. It was literally just watching him like on the bus, the old lady is like suspiciously leering at him and just like stupid
with his
shit.
Big
like,
old, his big crazy eyes. Like
I mean, I don't know.
Really,
because just because I don't really give a shit about this franchise and in that way, like it's not important to me. Like there's other, movies that I would rather see get I mean, I would much rather see a follow-up to Valentine or a proper urban legend movie with Rebecca Gayheart than see like another attempt, because we've already had a third movie, which we won't talk about. But it's like, what are they planning to do? Are they going to do like what Halloween 2018 did, of just like ignore every sequel? I mean, I guess in this case, just ignore I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. So Carla has never existed or whatever. Or are they going to include it and then like Brandy comes back as well? Or is it going to be a thing where it's like they're married and they have kids and now it's going to be their kids? And
I mean, I would like Carla to come back. She survived, so that'd be cool. And also, we could give her something to do. But see, that's the thing. If you bring that character back, I don't know how you create all of a sudden an interesting personality for her. It's not impossible, but it needs to be congruous with like what came before. Yeah. But I don't know. Maybe it'll solve a lot of the problems if she suddenly is kind of endowed with a personality that isn't directly connected with her friendship to Julie. Also, I'm really glad you brought up Rebecca Gayheart, because she occurred to me while I was watching this movie, because I just started everything that I complained about with the Julie of this film, Jennifer Love Hewitt's Julie of I Know What You Did Last, and I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, and her straddling kind of like the girlish, I don't know, ticklishness of it all, and then the haunted, just like morose, like panicky, whatever she is. Yeah. I was like, well, this isn't the first time I've seen somebody do this, especially in a teen movie of this era. I thought about Rebecca Gayheart as a Julie in Jawbreaker. And I thought like, oh, because she had to like mourn Liz Purr's death and then kind of like get, courted by her beau and everything like that. She got to be tickled when she was sitting there, like kind of like hear him say, I've seen you see me, and she's like like tucking her hair behind her ear and everything like that, and he's like, I mean, I never would have thought to approach you, and she's like, why not? And it's really, really cute, and I'm endeared by it. And even though she's mourning, like I'm like, well, she's still a teenage girl, and she's still, like the guy who she noticed but never really was open to before, and who, like never really had contact with, like, oh, well, now there's an avenue for it because, she's being ostracized by her friend group that like kind of like built up walls probably between her and a guy like that. Like, again, headcanon goes crazy, and I'm just kind of like, and there's justification for it on the screen. I can't build enough headcanon for why Julie is going through whatever it is that she's going through at any given moment in this movie, but I don't think it's impossible. I just think the execution is really, really falling apart for me in this movie.
I mean,
in a big way. I didn't think it could get worse after the first movie.
The thing is, I don't disagree with anything that you say. Like, this is all I could say is that like this movie requires you. It requires me to just to shut off my, not even my brain, but just sort of like, well, I guess my brain, but also like that. I guess like that sensor that just like would make me less tolerant of bullshit. We'll say.
Sure.
Because that's the thing. Like, we didn't even get to like what I've actually, because I keep mentioning like the most ridiculous scene. There's so many moments in this that are so ridiculous, and I think that the one, because talking about Carla, when she falls to the floor onto the bed. And there's all that. I mean, first of all, her first instinct is to, rather than like get off of the bed and run to the door, which is on like, I guess the one side of her, she instead crawls over the killer, who's very much conscious and swiping around. She crawls over him to run to the balcony, to jump off the balcony. And which then proceeds into like this moment where she's standing on, I guess this is a greenhouse, but she's standing on the glass. Like, miraculously, it did not shatter. She did not fall through it immediately. And she's standing on it, and she sort of like gets up and she's like wobbling around. She's like, oh shit. She puts her foot with all of her weight right on like the middle of the pane of the glass, and it starts to crack a little. And rather than remove her foot, she then puts it down completely, lifts up the other foot to see if she can put even more weight onto it, and it begins to crack even more. But not once does she like position her feet so they're on the frame of any point of the glass, which is the logical thing that you would do, because you don't even need to like understand like architecture or engineering or anything to do that.
Instinct will carry you through that. Yeah.
And of course she falls through, and I mean, like, what I would have loved would have been like a Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman moment if she had that, but
where she like leans up full from the waist and just goes just
as the rest of
all the glass in the greenhouse.
But
that deserves applause, Zach. That would have been great.
It would have been. See, that's what if they really leaned into the camp, we would have had like the Jennifer Tilly, like the Tiffany version of Julie at the beginning with her Italian widow.
That.
But I mean, just speaking of the greenhouse scene, because I do actually like the moment, like this. I wouldn't say that this movie is like poorly made in any way, just technically, other than like, there are some like glaring issues, but just like the way it looks, like I really love it. And there's that moment when like the way that it's filmed when Ben Willis comes in and the hook kind of like in the center of the frame dips down and he's sort of like pursuing her and she's trying to get out. Like that was all like really good. I praise the movie for these aspects of it, because they do lean into like these slasher elements that I think really work. And I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. And I think that if there is some quality to speak of, because I haven't really spoken to quality, I've mostly just spoken to the bullshit, that I do think that this movie does things successfully.
Okay. I mean, I probably would have to be stoned if I wanted to watch it again, because I think I'd have a better time with it. I think I'd just giggle.
I know a white Jamaican who can hook you up. Also,
that was another. Yeah, it was. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, maybe we'll have the same thought, because I just thought it was hysterical that they were so like anti marijuana. They're just like
right.
No, we don't do that. Like we're like educated. Yeah. Like we go to college.
Well, it's a gateway drug. Don't inhale. You'll get addicted. Yeah. As they all shuffle away, like holding their noses. That would have been. See, again, if they would have played into the camp, that would have been hilarious. Yeah. But I do want to ask you, like, because you're talking about like just kind of like the way you received this movie versus the way that I received it. Yeah. Like the way it kind of translates to you camp wise and everything like that. How do you get through those Tristan scenes? Because they were pretty painful for me. Do you experience any pain during the... I'm calling him Tristan. Titus. Sorry.
Okay,
Titus.
yeah.
Jack
Like,
Black's
who the
character.
fuck are you talking about?
Exactly. I was just kind of like, I know I'm saying the name wrong. Jack Black's character.
No, because they were so few and far between. Like, I think that there's really only... He has 4 scenes, if I remember correctly. It's the first one when they arrive, and like immediately like Tyrell like looks over and he's like senses trouble. He's like, oh, what's this now? And you know, Jack Black does his like little thing where he like scurries like a little rodent out of the frame, and he's like, hey baby, to like the woman walking by in the bikini, and she's just like, fuck off or whatever. And then he shows up again when he does that, you know, whatever, on the dock, and totally misses the fact that the fisherman was there. The thing in the pool, like the hot tub, like that was like, you know, they probably could have just taken that out. That was maybe like too much Titus.
That was gross.
Yeah. And then his death scene, you know, which was necessary.
That was another thing. Like, yeah, that death scene, I was all set for it to kind of like go in a direction. And I think Jack Black, as far as his performance, like, I mean, again, like everybody being scared, I was like, you've got actors who are really good at, you know, kind of positioning themselves as victims to be victimized and everything like that. There's a great horror movie to be made with this stable of actors that you've got working for you. Because even with Jack Black, the way Captain Hook seemed to be kind of like searching for which tool am I going to use to finish you, and he's like, oh no. I was like, oh shit, okay, this could get intense. And then he reaches for the hedge clippers, I believe is what they were, and great big ones too, you know, like the scissor type ones. And he's going, oh no. I'm like, oh shit, what's he gonna cut off? And he just stabs him with them. And I'm like, okay, just getting stabbed with hedge clippers is much calmer and more, just more benign than anything I was anticipating, and probably anything Jack Black was anticipating in that scene that could have been, I mean, because I see hedge clippers, my imagination runs wild. Yeah. And even if the killer could have, again, like teased him, I complained about this in the first movie, if we could have gotten more playfulness, I don't mean playfulness in a fun way, but I mean like just more playing with the more fear suspense of the people as you're about to kill them. Exactly. Build it. Like really let them know who's got the hedge clippers here, you know? And there's none of that even. It kind of fails.
And even I noticed that like when it actually does go in, it's so like there was no like practical effects or anything. Like it was almost like they made a dummy. It was just sort of like, you know, something full of straw or whatever, fluff, and they just like stabbed into it because it was such a quick cut. Because I was thinking like, oh, maybe this was like edited down. It's like there's no way, because it was clearly not any sort of like technical, like, you know, big practical effect with blood or anything. No. So, I mean, the budget of this movie, there's conflicting sources, because when I Google it says that the budget was $17 million. But then there's another thing says that it was 65 million. But then on IMDb it says that the movie's budget was 24 million, and it's often confused for being 65 million because I guess like the marketing afterwards brought it up to 65 million, but the movie itself was 24 million. So I don't know what.
That's a lot of marketing.
Yeah, and
I don't. It was everywhere though. I mean, I saw that trailer and I never saw the movie, so maybe. I mean,
yeah, I guess I do distinctly remember the teaser trailers showing up a lot, but it was also one of those movies that just like it came and went. There was no, because this is 1998. This would have been like the last of like the 1998 horror movies as well, because we already had H2O that was released in July or August. Urban Legend, I think, was September. Bride of Chucky might have been summer. I can't remember. Oh no, Psycho was Psycho 1998?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was because that was December. So I stand corrected. But it was almost like, I feel, because there was so much coming out, because we did have like, there's like Disturbing Behavior, H2O, Urban Legend, Bride of Chucky, I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, Psycho, the remake, that it was just like, it's, you know, you had to have left an impression, otherwise you just kind of got thrown to the wayside. And I feel like this is just one of those movies that happened to. Yeah.
I did laugh really, really hard when they were stuck in that I don't know, bunker or whatever, like when they were all kind of like crawling under, like trying to hide and everything like that. And it was, I think it was Brandy, Nancy, and Julie at that point, and they started discovering the bodies, or maybe it was just I keep calling
it was Brandy, Nancy, and Julie. There's a 3 of them.
Okay, and they saw the bodies reveal, and then they all just started screaming.
Yeah.
And that was comedy. That was full comedy.
Well,
I was just like, okay, more of this. This is like Scooby-Doo.
Well, because because what happened is they went in and the lights were out, and Julie's like, Carla, like, hold my hand, and she says, I am. She's standing like a full like probably like 5 feet away from her, and she's just like, hold my hand. She's like, I am holding your hand. And they're like, no, you're not. No, lights go on. Not. Then it's just like, was Carla just like reaching down below for like Julie's hand and like this limp? Probably like, I would say that like rigor mortis had even set in. It's not limp. It's like a stiff, like dead hand, and she just grabbed it. Unless like it died like in a position where it was like, you know, like, and it was the maid. It was the maid too.
Yeah, and it was the maid. It was the housekeeper. But it would have been funny if they would have gone on with it, just kind of like, I am holding your hand. You're freezing, you know, something like that.
Yeah. Also,
because it's like an Abbott and Costello bit,
right? Yes, yeah. Also, I want to correct myself because The Faculty also came out on Christmas Day of 1998. So even more of a case to make that, like, you know, these movies, they were just pumping them out like crazy in 1998. It got lost in the I mean, I wouldn't say it got lost in the shuffle, but it might have been pushed to the wayside because it's like something new was coming out every week, it seemed.
I have distinct memories of going to the video store when this got released on DVD and maybe VHS. I think we were still straddling both. And in 98. And because I worked at a video store 2 years after that, and we were still selling both. And still promoting both like evenly, but
DVDs were established in 1996, according to
But I just mean VHS was still around. But I remember visiting the video store with my sister and seeing the new arrivals wall and seeing so many unrented copies of I Still Know What You Did Last Summer occupying the wall, and it just shrunk every week we went back more and more. And I remember thinking, like, thank God. Without having seen it, like, total douche move. I will own my douchery, but that sounds funny. But I think it'll be funnier if I'm high, and now that I know what to expect, that always seems, I don't know about always. Oftentimes it seems to help with movies that I kind of like dislike the first time, or that kind of rub me the wrong way. Like, I mean, you go back and forth on things. I mean, as much as Julie does. I wouldn't put it that way. I'm not that.
Julie and her Virgo energy.
Oh God, please. No, Julie is not a Virgo. Don't put that on me. Do not put that on me.
No, I don't think so. I just wanted to make you panic.
You just wanted to rub me the wrong way.
For anyone who's interested in knowing that VHS production officially, because I know sometimes they release things on VHS for, like, you know, novelty collectors or things, but VHS officially stopped production in 2006. The last movie to ever be produced on VHS was A History of Violence. Yeah.
I don't remember. Wait, why do I know A History of Violence?
A History of Violence. It's Viggo Mortensen, I believe.
Okay, I don't know if I saw it. It sounds so familiar.
It's directed by David Cronenberg. William Hurt, Ed Harris, in it as well. Anyway,
I need to see it again.
Anyway, that's interesting that, like, if DVDs started being produced in 1996, and it took a full 10 years for the transition to take place. Meanwhile, DVDs are still. I'm shocked to find out that, like, people still buy things on DVD, because that's like.
Oh yeah.
We're already like moving into 8K. Some people.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's actually movies that have been released on 8K, but like just technology wise.
But DVDs are just cheaper, and I think some people may just not care about the resolution.
I guess.
I swear, I was having a conversation with my bestie over 10 years ago when she swore up and down, physical media will be a thing of the past within, probably by the end of the year. And this was like over 10 years ago. And we're going to go completely digital. You wait and see. And I'm like, that's not going to happen. And she's like, why? And I'm like, because there are still LPs. CDs are still like a thing. They're not the prevailing thing, but it doesn't mean that they stop being made. Like physical media, certain things aren't being made anymore. Like 8-track tapes are a thing of the past. Yeah. But if it was trending long enough to take on and kind of like be the thing that was popular for more than just like a couple years, then it's probably going to stick around for a while. Arguably, even if it's just because there's like a demographic that still gravitates toward it for whatever reason that they justify. But I don't know. Anyway, I just wanted to know where I was going.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's fair. And I feel like there's so much pushback against like the death of physical media that there's enough people that they're not going to let it happen. Anyway,
especially now that streaming services are pulling all of their content and stuff.
Yeah, streaming services have not been reliable. But
not at all.
This is usually the time of the episode when we start going off on tangents that are completely unrelated. that I have to ask you, was there anything else that we hadn't mentioned, or a character or someone that you wanted to kind of talk about before we
Not
wrap
really.
things up?
I'm talking about physical media and Viggo Mortensen. Yeah. So no, probably not.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. I think we got a lot out of this one. So, and there's still more. We still got to pick some cherries. So yeah. let's get to that.
It's not like we killed people on purpose.
Okay, so the first thing we need to figure out is the cherry on top.
It's your call. I really couldn't care less.
Well, I mean, I'm surprised that you are not making a case for Carla, because you seem to speak very highly of her. But I mean,
really, her potential, like she could have been great, but instead she's just more tolerable than the leading.
Yeah, I mean, I already mentioned earlier, like I love Nancy. I wish that she had been in it more. Interestingly enough, I don't know if there's any truth to this. This is another factoid on IMDb, is that initially the roles were reversed, because you actually kind of mentioned this just in terms of if Carla had died and then like Nancy was still alive, because Carla was initially the one to be killed. I don't know if it was in that scene where Estes has the pole in him. And kind of also, what the fuck, Estes? Like, you fall on top of your coworker, so they're killed too. Anyway, besides that was Brandy was supposed to die in that scene or something, and Nancy was going to be the one that lived and then like emerged at the end still alive. And I mean, I was thinking about that. I'm like, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I mean, it wouldn't have the same. Not that there was like a huge like emotional impact at the end when they all came together and they're like, oh, Carla, you're alive. It was just like, oh yay, whereas I feel like if it was Nancy, that she would just be like, Julie would look over and just kind of give her a thumbs up, like, glad you made it, but I don't know you.
Like a Mentos commercial back in the day. That's what Julie acts like she's starring in when she's not in a horror movie. She's in a Mentos commercial. Anyway.
That's what we need. They needed to make the I Still Know You Did Last Summer version of it. I remember one where it was like a guy who's like in a suit and he sits down on a bench that's been freshly painted white, and the painter's like, no, because there's no like spoken dialogue. It's like miming and stuff. And they're like, no, and he stands up and he looks, and there's like, it's like paint on his suit, and then he's like pops the Mentos and then just lies back on the bench and like rolls over it. So then he like gets up and he's now got like a pinstripe suit with paint, and then pops the Mentos again, and the painter's like salutes him with the paintbrush or something. Like that's for anyone who's like wondering, because those are so archaic, those commercials. Like you could go on YouTube and probably look up every single one of them. They are ridiculous.
They felt very Eastern European in feel also. I never found out where they made them, like what the origin was. But Janine Garofalo used to have a joke where she would just call it Mentos Das Fleischmacher. Well, I guess she perceived it very German.
And they did even feel dated for the time.
Yeah, they looked old.
Yeah.
They looked like 5 years old by the time they got to us. That may be another reason why they felt kind of European, because a lot of our media.
Well, now I need to go do research on Mentos to see where it's actually from.
Ooh, I'd love that.
Okay. Cherry Picker. Last week we asked you who deserves to die the most in Insidious. I nominated the lipstick face demon, and you nominated the old woman demon. And across,
you're guessing very correctly.
Yes,
sir.
Thank you. Well, because I had to slowly go through it. It's not like an IKWYDLS where I can just.
You looked again.
Anyway, across Patreon, Instagram, YouTube, the final tally is 514 for the lipstick face versus 437 for old woman.
Oh, that was so close, folks. Thank you. Oh my god.
But do you want to know what's interesting is that it was the YouTube crowd that showed up for me. And on Instagram, old woman won, and on Patreon, old woman won. My own Patreon supporters are betraying me, because this is
oh my god, with the betrayal.
These Judases.
Okay, we don't call it the cherry picker because you're supposed to pick Zack's cherry every. No, I can't wait. I was going to find a really witty way to put it. Wait, it's not called the cherry picker because you're supposed to pick Zack's pick every week. That's something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
That's not why we call it cherry picker.
Anyway, some of the comments here. Mendejo says both are very scary, but that jump scare with lipstick face demon that I don't even have to describe will haunt me forever.
The one that you probably hate, right?
I think it's just it looks dumb. 13 Jazzy Love. The lipstick face demon didn't scare me that much, but I screamed bloody murder when the old woman showed up. Had nightmares about her for weeks.
Yeah, same. I don't know about nightmares, but scared of her, totally.
Adams Bree. The old woman is much more of a scarier and dangerous villain. Lipstick face is only there for cheap jump scares. I can't tell who these are very general comments, so I don't know who is a vote for or against. Yeah.
If we were asking who's scarier, that it seems like everybody's kind of answering to that. But I wonder what way they voted then.
Well, we know which way they voted, but
No. But there's also a vocal minority sometimes with these. So I'm wondering if they're saying she was scarier, so she deserves to die more, or that one wasn't as scary, so they deserve to die because they're expendable. I wonder. Yeah. Anyway, go on.
Trisha McMasters. It's the motives that determine who deserves to die the most. The lipstick demon is just evil, but the old woman chills, especially as the movies continue. Old woman gets my vote. Shudder.
Nice.
Amethyst Frost. All of the spirits kind of blurred together for me, whereas the main human cast was the thing I really enjoyed about this movie. So kill the old woman spirit for strangling Miss Lynche at the end.
Thank you.
Movie Maniac, lipstick face demon. Out of the two, I'll say he is more creepy, but like most horror movies, for me, that loses its effect after the first watch. That's the problem with movies like this or the Conjuring movies, is no rewatchability to them.
Oh, I disagree entirely about Insidious.
Well,
not about the Conjuring.
It's been a while since I've seen the Conjuring, so I don't want to speak to
it.
I think that Insidious has rewatchability, but everything that I said about it still just my critiques still stand. Hamish, the old woman, I guess. It's hard though because they both prey on their victims in hope of possession, but I think the old woman just scared me more. Something about the way she's portrayed and the setup with Josh's childhood just worked perfectly in creating a terrifying character, so I pick her. Agreed. Stephanie Ellen. The old woman reminds me of Lindsay Lohan's Halloween costume in Mean Girls. Just saying, it always made me remember.
Okay.
You know which? Do you remember which one?
Of course, yeah. When she comes in, walks in the Friday the 13th Part 2, and Lizzie Kaplan and
yeah,
and they're screaming.
and technically that predated the one in Insidious.
Yeah, she's kind of like a reverse negative, because Lindsay Lohan had like dark hair and like a white wedding dress, and the old woman has like a black kind of like wedding dress thing going on with white hair distinctively. Okay. So yeah, it's interesting.
It was like the photo negative that Elise took the picture. Grant Dempsey, gotta give it to the lipstick face demon. He's got some potential. The scene where Elise sees him on the ceiling and mutters his description to Specs is fairly chilling, and I like the look of his lair and his taste in music. But overall, he just doesn't work for me. He looks silly, and it's not even that he looks like Darth Maul. He honestly just looks like a goofy human dude to me, right down to the tufts of hair on the top sides of his head. Specs' drawing of him looks a lot scarier than he does, and the way the demon runs along the walls looks silly. The way he breathes heavily when he suddenly appears next to Josh in the climax looks silly, and the famous jump scare early in the movie doesn't get to me. It didn't get me the first time I watched the movie either, which was odd because I was pretty well scared by Lorraine's description of her dream right before it. Get thee behind me, demon. JPW Campbell. It can't be the lipstick face demon because it's a demon, and a demon is gonna demon. Can't really blame it for that. But the old woman is the spirit of a human and targeted a child, so definitely deserves to die again. That's not even mentioning what we find out she was up to in life. I feel like that's like laden with spoilers for the following movies.
If we explain it, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think if you haven't seen the movie, it probably doesn't. You're just like, oh, we find out more, like that. Basically. Yeah.
Okay. Itsy Benny. Fun fact number 14: the lipstick face demon scored the movie. We mentioned that. It's Joseph Bashara. Yeah. Also scored *Malignant*.
Yeah.
Fun fact number 15. Becky says has to be the old woman. She stalked Josh throughout his childhood. The lipstick demon only enters Dalton's life because Elise left the door open when she was in the further because of Josh. Let's blame the woman.
Wow.
Just kidding.
Wow. Okay. Just keep reading.
You're gonna love this. My chunky Geordie says, I'm just going with Eddie. Emoji, smiley, emoji, paw prints, emoji, purple heart. So what was that you were talking about? This isn't the just vote for Zack cherry picker?
Yeah, see?
We were gonna do this once. When we did Us, we probably mentioned it, that we were just gonna pick the tethered version of the twins because you can't differentiate one from the other, and it was like this would be the true test to see if there was like an allegiance to like one of us or the other.
I mean, I think we've both felt that. I mean, this is the thing. I think there is an allegiance to you or I. The thing is, it's different depending on the person, and also because the numbers fluctuate from episode to episode, different people are voting all the time. So I think some people, it's like any other election. Like some people are voting their heart and their conscience every time, regardless of who's, putting it forth. And then some people are just like, I'm with her,
That is a lot of explanation because I'm not serious about this. It's I just wanted to create banter.
Well, you just did. Now
good.
Keep reading.
Okay. Hush. Thomas Baker. Too easy. Lipstick face demon. Freaky Taxi. Lipstick demon did kidnap someone, but the old woman stalked, possessed, and killed. Lipstick demon also has better makeup. So vote for old woman.
Oh.
Okay. Michael Jeremy Kaiser. I think because, and I'm sorry, I'm speaking louder because this is all in caps, but I think because as human beings, we're all afraid of getting older and dying. The elderly woman subconsciously represents death. So an elderly woman that stalks and kills is scary.
I'm not afraid of dying. I'm afraid of being killed, but not dying.
Well, I'm not going to get deep into anything like that here. Blue Box
That's
87.
a whole pod.
Even though
Yes.
Lipstick Face Demon is giving Darth Maul realness, I'm voting for Old Woman because she's so unoriginal.
Oh my gosh.
I am
That's
Solomon, so Darth Maul or Emperor Palpatine in a dress. Always to there are. So, Old Woman, I nearly mixed her up with the Nun, so kill them both. Spoilers for my vote once we get to the Conjuring series. LOL. Lopi Robinson, the demon is just doing what it was made to do, be evil. The lady in black chose to become evil willingly. Both are evil, one is more corrupt. And Silent Saturn says, Old Woman, I just don't find her scary at all. We get it. You got jilted at the altar and your daughter ran off with a guy named Pip. Is this, I don't know if this is spoilers or just jokes, but
it's not. It's not spoilers at all. I think it's great.
It sucks, but you got to move on eventually, have a girls trip or a makeover and leave Patrick Wilson alone. Lipstick Demon was super creepy. I wanted more of him.
Have a girls trip.
Well, who would imagine that girls trip? Like, who else would go on it with
Lipstick Demon?
No, but I mean, like the old, like, you know, if Old Woman had to like choose from other horror properties, like
other horror well,
yeah.
The Nun probably,
okay.
And
Annabelle.
Girls trip. No, because Annabelle is corporeal,
and she's a minor,
and also she's not.
She
she's
can't
not.
drink.
She's not a consciousness to herself. Like, do you remember in the first movie?
I don't remember. No, I
get
never
to see
watched. No, actually, that's not
manipulating
true.
the doll. Yeah,
I don't remember. It's not important to me. But yeah. The Nun.
Yeah, the Nun for sure. I'm trying to think. Like, what
maybe
other...
like the Mother Witch in Suspiria. I think she would get along with them real well.
And she might be able to see them. Yeah, she might be able to kind of like vacillate between realms and kind of like go into the further with them. And they would all.
And this is the Golden Girls. We need one more.
Fuck. I'm just thinking about like Disney villains now, and none of them work. Like I was gonna say like Cruella de Vil, but that doesn't work.
Well, we'll throw Maleficent in there. You know, she's got powers.
She's got powers. Oh God, she'd be so pissed off. She's Dorothy. She's Dorothy of the group. She'd just be sitting there, just like, you know, whatever, stroking her raven. Yeah. Just like whatever.
Okay, sure. I can deal with it. Anyway,
I wish I was home with my collections. Because I'm such an introvert. Sorry.
That's
go
okay. On. I don't. Fuck. This is difficult because.
Yeah.
I'm not like particularly like connected or disconnected from anyone in this movie.
I know.
To pick them, because last time we did the Julie Ray face off, but I think this time like I don't. No. I'm not particularly
just
annoyed.
answer the question: Who deserves to die? Who deserves to die the most?
I mean,
in this movie,
my instinct was to say Ben Willis.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because he's petty. I mean, I could go for like liar with the son, but I mean, like, he's been influenced by the dad. I'll go with Ben.
Okay.
Ben Falder. Yeah. Ruined a perfectly good vacation. Sorry, I'm making my case. I mean, well, technically, the vacation that only existed because they invented it for them, but still.
And just because I'm interested to see how people, I don't care if I lose this one. I just want to see, like, how do people feel about one's mistakes and character flaws versus another. I'm going with Julie again. I chose her for the first movie. I'm choosing her. She really should have died in this movie. She really should have. I do believe it. I'm not just doing this for an experiment, but the experiment part of it is going to be fascinating to me because we've got kind of like positioned victim against positioned killer, or positioned heroine against, position villain, and I just Yeah, I just want to see what people do. I'm curious, but I really do think she deserves to die more than he does.
Wow. I mean, Titus was right there.
I know, but I don't think that's an interesting pairing either, and it's not my truth.
So what a more interesting pairing would have been Julie versus Titus?
Yeah, it would have been more interesting, but no, I think this is the most interesting.
Okay.
The face-off between the two of them, the heavy and the hero.
For the clip on on Instagram, I'll just use the scene where she shoots him. Just fucking die.
For her?
For both of them, just so I don't have to do two.
Oh, for both of them? Okay.
Well, you can let me know what you want.
All right, if I change my mind, we'll see if there's, because I feel like there's a whole host of other. I don't know.
Well, I mean, you'll probably pick the scene where she, gets the chips and goes under the duvet.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Do that one. I was gonna say that, or the one where she smiles at the bear.
Oh God. Okay. Anyway, so vote your heart, vote your conscience. You can vote on Patreon, Instagram, and YouTube. If you would like to support my Patreon, I was gonna say Patreon channel, Patreon account. That's under Zack Cherry, and what you'll get is early access to all of our episodes of the Cherry Picker. You'll also get, depending on which tier you're at, the Freddy Krueger tier, you'll get access to our monthly bonus episode, the Cherry Picker After Dark. This last month, most recently, these like, for people listening, these faces that Edward is making.
I'm advertising.
Yeah.
I'm advertising. Yeah.
Well, this most recent episode, we did Cruel Intentions. Speaking of Helen and Bear, not the teddy bear. Bear as in like Barry.
No, Barry.
Bear. Well, she called him Bear. She's like, hey, Bear. I thought that was cute. Different movie. Yeah. And this month, back by popular demand, we're doing season 3 of Scream Survivor, which. He just did the Home Alone face, but this one is really exciting.
Or the Scream.
I got Home Alone. I got Kevin McAllister.
I know, so did I.
But this is going to be the most exciting one. I mean, I say that now, but I hope it is, because we've just been like picking at random like characters to choose in the first 2 seasons. Like, I'm not going to reveal who's playing in this one, but we'll just say the people that were left for the last season are more exciting. So this is going to be a very intense showdown to find out the winner of Scream Survivor 3. So that's happening this month. Follow us on Instagram at the Cherry Picker Pod. If you're new to the Cherry Picker, you can also watch us on YouTube if you are listening. So that's the Cherry Picker. Subscribe to us there. And if you are watching us on YouTube, you can also listen to these if that's more up your alley. The RSS feed link is in the descriptions down below. And I'm just looking at your face on the other screen here because you froze up there. Oh, there you go. You're just in one of your.
Oh, I was moving too
faces.
much.
Yeah. That usually happens. That's how it happens. But social media separately, where can they find you?
Edward is Truth, one word, traditional spelling, Letterboxd, YouTube, Instagram. Look for it. How about you, Zack?
Edward is Truth. Traditional spelling. You can find me at Retro Bitchface on Instagram. I'm also ZackCherry8 on Twitter, ZackCherry on Letterboxd, and Zack Cherry is my main YouTube channel, ZackCherry. Also, I totally forgot, but I usually have this thing open, so I go through the thing. But I do have to thank my new Patreon supporter. And that is Desiree Perry. So thank you very much for coming on board. So Desiree will have access to everything that we already. What is that?
I'm just singing from a little night music. There's a character named Desiree, and a guy sings about her.
Every time you bring up like anything musical, I have no idea.
I know.
And I also want to thank Andre Felix. He knows why. He's our podcast editor.
Right.
So thank you very much.
I was gonna.
You're just gonna zip your lip. Well, I need you to not.
I'm just gonna be like, let it lie.
I need you to not, because you have to tell us what's happening next week.
No shit. Is the one with. Oh wait, but which are we doing the?
Yeah.
Oh, we're doing Jaws 2.
We're doing Jaws 2. We're doing Jaws 2.
Oh wow, it's gonna be interesting talking with you about that.
And I just bought the sorry, I'm holding it up. I call it a box set. It's like literally a slim case, but it has Jaws 2, Jaws 3, and Jaws the Revenge. I've never seen these. We're not gonna do all 3 of those, but at least not now. But for next week, it's gonna.
Does it have the 3D version of the third movie? Does it have it?
I don't.
Because I've heard really, really good things about the resolution. They really kind of like up, according to the reviews.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it myself.
It does not.
It looks really good.
It does not say 3D, and I don't even have a 3D television or any of that, so it wouldn't matter.
I do.
Well, lucky you. Anyway, that's what's going on. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and we will be right back.